So we are going to start reading Zero Limits by Joe Vitale and Dr. Hugh Lin. This is the first day that we are going to start. Shimangla, you're on. Shimangla, you're muted.
Yep. Ho'oponopono is a profound gift that allows one to develop a working relationship with the divinity within and learn to ask that in each moment our errors in thought, word, deed, or action be cleansed. The process is essentially about freedom, complete freedom from the past.
Shimangla, you'll have to come closer to your mic. So what is Ho'oponopono? Very clearly, it's a gift. Any tool that we get and that we can apply in our lives is a gift to us. Okay. So like we've got so many gifts, we've got a huge toolbox in awareness now. People who've been attending the programs, they're all gifts to us. Why? Because we can apply them in our lives and actually enhance the way that we are living. And automatically, he says over here, the process is essentially about freedom, complete freedom from the past. So the more you see, when we are living in fear, we are either in the past or in the future. And what all these tools allow us to do is to come into the present.
Can I skip this?
Yeah, skip.
Where peace begins. Dear Mona Nalamaku Simeona, the creator and the first master teacher of self-identity, Ho'oponopono had on her desk a placard that read, "Peace begins with me." I witnessed this peace beyond all understanding as I worked and traveled with her from December 1982 to that fateful day in Kirchheim, Germany in February 1992. Even as she lay in death on her bed, surrounded by chaos, she exuded that stillness beyond all understanding.
So what? So one second. So what are we talking about here? In spite of everything going wrong around you, if you can maintain your equanimity and your centeredness, then you will be at peace within. It really doesn't matter whatever is happening around you.
It was my great fortune and honor to have received the training from Mona in November 1982 and to have been in her presence for a decade. I have been doing self-identity Ho'oponopono ever since. I am pleased that, with the help of my friend Dr. Joe Vitale, this message can now reach the world.
So,
the truth.
So one thing which is very clear in this, and this is something that we read in the, in Liquid Luck also, he says that if you are in the presence of, or if you are working with someone who knows about something, it starts to seep into you. So he very clearly, Dr. Hugh, spent a long time, 10 decades with this lady, and naturally the whole thing seeped into him.
But the truth is, it only has to reach you through me, as we are all one and it all happens inside. Piece of pie, Ihaliakala Hugh Len, PhD.
So again, at the end of the day, we are all connected. So we actually touch each other. So if one person raises their consciousness level, the entire world gets affected by that. And this is what we are attempting to do here, is to touch as many hearts as possible so that we can start operating in equanimity. We become centered ourselves. And as we become centered, then people who we touch also start becoming centered. So it's like a ripple effect that we are really looking for.
Introduction: The Secret of the Universe. In 2006, I wrote an article titled The World's Most Unusual Therapist. It was about a psychologist who helped heal an entire ward of mentally ill criminals without ever seeing any of them professionally. He used an unusual healing method from Hawaii. Until 2004, I had never heard of him or his method. I searched for 2 years before I found him. I then learned his method and wrote that now famous article. The article swept the internet. It was posted on news groups and emailed to huge lists of people from all walks of life. My own list at www.mrfire.com loved it and passed it on to tens of thousands of others. They in turn forwarded it to family and friends. I estimate about 5 million people saw that article. Everyone who read it found it hard to believe. Some were inspired, some were skeptical, all wanted more. This book is a result of their desire and my quest. Even if you're a veteran of the 5 steps in my earlier book, The Attractor Factor, you may not understand the incredible insights I'm about to reveal to you here, at least not at first glance. The simple process I'm going to share in this book will help explain why I've been able to manifest some huge accomplishments without actually trying to make them happen. Here are a few of them. Mr. Nightingale Conant audio program, The Power of Outrageous Marketing, happened after I quit pounding on their door for 10 years. How did I go from homeless to poverty to struggling writer to a published author to best-selling author to internet marketing guru with no plan at all? My desire to attract a BMW Z3 sports car led me to being inspired with an internet marketing idea no one had ever thought of before, which made me $22,500 in one day and $250,000 in a year or so. My desire to buy and move into Texas Hill Country Estate when I was broke and going through a divorce led to me creating a new business that brought in $50,000 in one day. My huge weight loss of 80 pounds occurred after I gave up and opened myself to a new way to achieve my desire. My desire to be the author of a best-selling book led to my writing a best-selling book that I never planned to write at all and wasn't even my idea. My appearance in a hit movie, The Secret, happened without my begging, pleading, intending, or orchestrating anything at all. My appearance on Larry King Live in November 2006 and again in March 2007 happened without my ever intending it. As I write these words, Hollywood hotshots are talking about turning my book, The Attractor Factor, into a movie, and still others are negotiating to get me my own television program. The list could go on, but you get the idea. I have many miracles happening in my life. But why are they happening?
So when you look at this, right, in all these cases, he allowed things to happen. He let go. He did not pursue it. He set an intent and let it out. And then the inspiration dropped in. Okay. He did not force anything to happen. Till he was forcing things to happen, they were not happening. So this is what we are constantly talking about, getting into the flow, allowing, getting into an effortless effort where we are doing things but we are doing it effortlessly. We are not pushing anything. And then we allow the universe to manifest whatever it wants to manifest for us.
I was once homeless. Today, I'm a best selling author, internet celebrity, and multimillionaire. What happened to me to create all this success? Yes, I followed my dreams. Yes, I took action. Yes, I was persistent. Haven't a lot of other people done some same things and yet not achieved success? What's different? If you look at the accomplishments I've listed with a critical eye, you might see that none of them were directly created by me. In fact, what they all have in common is a spirit of divine planning, with me a sometimes unwilling participant.
So now this is important, right? So what is he saying over here? I may not have wanted what was manifesting, but he was unwilling, but he was still a participant. So the more you start participating in life, the more you step out of resisting, the more things will start happening. So if you see over here, I took action, I was persistent. Okay. All these things are effortful. We were making an effort. The moment we dropped the effort, but we still did what needed to be done, that is when the magic or the shift started taking place.
Let me explain this another way. Towards the end of 2006, I taught a seminar called Beyond Manifestation, www.beyondmanifestation.com, which is heavily influenced by what I learned after I discovered the mysterious Hawaiian therapist and his method. In that event, I asked everyone to list all the ways they knew to manifest or attract something in their life. They said things like affirmations, visualizations, intentions, body awareness methods, feeling the end result, scripting, emotional freedom technique, EFT, or tapping, and many, many more. Once the group inventoried every single way they could come up with to create their own reality, I asked them if those ways worked all the time, without exception. Everyone agreed they did not always work. Well, why not? I asked them. No one could say for sure. I then hit the group with my observation. All of those ways have limitations, I declared. They are toys your mind plays with to keep you thinking you're in charge. The truth is, you are not in charge, and the real miracles come when you let go of the toys and trust in a place inside yourself where there are zero limits.
So beautifully put, right? Our mind, our ego plays games with us. It constantly tells us or constantly wants to be in charge. But the fact of the matter is that there are too many factors involved for any one thing to manifest or happen for us individually to be in charge. Today, if we are all meeting here on Zoom, there are thousands and tens of thousands of people who have actually helped to make this manifest. Today, we are all on computers. Who made the computers? We are on the internet. Who created the internet? Who did the wiring for the telephone wires to come? Who did the switchboarding? There are so many factors involved for this to manifest. Now, if we start thinking that we are in control and we are making something manifest, that is, I think we are in fantasy land. Okay. So what does he say over here very clearly? When you let go of the toys and trust in a place inside yourself where there are zero limits. So when we are connecting into higher states of consciousness, when we are connecting with the divine has no limits. You just have to look around you to see how much of magic there is around us. Just take any flower and look at the creation of the flower. Every flower is different, but is perfect in its own. It's perfect in its own in its own being, right? We see this again, I'm repeating, when we do the silent walk, or even when we do the advanced excursion workshop where we enhance the senses, you can actually perceive this. There is so much of magic around us, but we fail to actually see it because we are not paying attention. The moment we start paying attention to the magic around us, we constantly can understand that it's not us which is making things happen. Things are happening. And when we let go of the control, that's when the shift actually starts to take place. So when we read the shift, one of the tendencies said that to create the shift, it is called control to trust. So we have to move from control to trusting, which is exactly what he is saying over here also.
I then told them that where you want to be in life is behind all of those toys, which is behind the chatter of the mind and right there with what we call the divine. I went on to explain that there are at least three stages to life, beginning with you as a victim, then moving on to you as a creator of your life, and ending, if you're lucky, with you being servant to the divine. In that last stage, which I'll discuss later in this book, astonishing miracles happen almost without you trying.
So behind the clutter in the mind, right? So we are constantly thinking, but is our thinking really working? Is it working in opposite directions with ourselves? There's no clarity of the thought. That is where the ECB comes in. Get rid of all your thoughts, go into an equanimous state, go into a state of stillness so that you can actually perceive the inspiration which is coming. Now, most of the people start with a poor me attitude, that I am the victim. Why is this happening with me? We do not crib or say, that when good things happen, we are not grateful that yes, the divine has made it happen. We say that we made it happen. When bad things happen or things which are depleting to us, when those things happen, then we start asking that why am I the victim, right? We have to appreciate both the sides, and that's when again the magic starts happening. And then he says you move into the creator in your life. So again, I keep referring to this. In the first case, you're acting out of memory. In the second stage, you're acting out of inspiration. And in the third stage, which is zero, everything is happening. You're not doing anything, but everything is happening. So he says almost without trying. So when you are connected with that divine, everything happens. You don't have to do anything.
Earlier today, I interviewed a goals expert for my Hypnotic Gold membership program. See www.hypnoticgold.com. He has written a dozen books and sold millions of copies of them. He knows how to teach people how to set goals. Most of his philosophy revolves around having a burning desire to accomplish something, but that's an incomplete strategy. I asked him what he suggested when someone can't find the motivation to set a goal, let alone complete it. If I knew that, he began, I'd be able to solve most of the problems in the world. He went on to say that you have to be hungry to achieve a goal. If you aren't, you won't keep up the discipline needed to focus on it and work towards it. But what if you're not hungry enough? I asked. Then you won't reach your goal. How do you make yourself hungry or motivated? He couldn't answer. And that's the rub. At a certain point, all the self help and goal setting programs fail. They come up against the troubling fact that if someone isn't ready to achieve something, they won't maintain the energy needed to manifest it. They'll quit. Everyone knows this experience from setting resolutions on January 1st and forgetting them on January 2nd. The good intentions were there, but something deeper wasn't in alignment with the conscious desires.
So basically, having a goal is really not enough. You have to be at the state of consciousness which will allow the goal to manifest. And that is where the trick is. How do we get to that state of consciousness which allows the manifestation to take place?
So, how do you take care of that deeper side that isn't hungry? That's where the Hawaiian method you learn in the book comes in handy. It helps clean the unconscious, which is where the block resides. It helps dissolve the hidden programs that keep you from attaining your desires, whether health, wealth, happiness, or anything else. It all happens inside you.
So, so what he is referring to here is the belief systems. While we are growing up, a lot of belief systems start to crop in. These are related to fears, traumas, or what people have been telling us when we have been growing up. And these programs are auto programs. They keep running in our system. This is also related to the patterns that we experience in life, because we unconsciously start creating things in our life, or we are attracted to the similar kind of things all the time. I've seen this even in Vastu, where people, when they shift their houses, they will go to a similar environment. Why? Because they are in resonance. Their resonant frequency resonates with that kind of an environment. So until again I'm repeating here, unless there's a shift in your consciousness, you get rid of these programs which are running behind the scene, the shift in your life will not come.
I'll explain all of this in the book you are holding right now. For now, consider this. There's a quote from Tor Trander's book, The User Illusion, that sums up the essence of the mental roller coaster ride you're about to embark on. The universe began when nothing saw itself in the mirror.
So this is a beautiful saying, right? The When nothing saw nothing, it had to think of something, and that's when the universe started. You're muted.
In short, zero limits is about returning to the zero state where nothing exists but anything is possible. In the zero state, there are no thoughts, words, deeds, memories, programs, beliefs, or anything else. Just nothing.
So
But
that is where all manifestation takes place. So when we are going into focus 15, it's called the void, where everything exists. And the first time anyone encounters that space, it's like a black hole most of the time. Why? Because when everything is there, then nothing is there, right? And in that state of consciousness, anything is possible. Why? Because everything is there. So the zero state is that stillness consciousness where anything that you even think of starts to manifest.
one day, nothing saw itself in the mirror, and you were born. From there, you created and unconsciously absorbed and accepted beliefs, programs, memories, thoughts, words, deeds, and more. Many of these programs go all the way back to the beginning of existence itself.
So what he's now talking about is where transmission of belief systems take place via generations. So the flight and flight response is still activated because of what we experienced when we were cavemen, right? They were always ready to run from a threat. They were always hyper vigilant to look out for a threat. And that system is still active in us. It is seen in animals also, where they respond to certain situations over umpteen number of generations. So all these past memories, belief systems, all those thoughts, everything is within us. And until we actually wipe the slate clean, the progress gets hampered.
The whole purpose of this book is to help you to experience wonder, moment by moment. From that place, miracles like the ones I described will happen to you. They'll be unique to you, and they'll be just as marvelous, magical, and miraculous.
So, so the words he's using here, wonder moment by moment. If you see a child, the child is always in wonder. But we ourselves, we've lost the ability to wonder. Like Rishika said in the beginning, that I have started appreciating everyone that I see, and I see that there is beauty all around me. So what is happening? There's a shift in her where she's acting out of wonder as to when you are appreciating something, when you are operating on gratitude, that is where that wonder comes in. If you really look at how we are living life, the wonder has gone out of our life, which is something we need to catch and we need to bring back into our lives.
My experience of this spiritual rocket ship into power beyond comprehension has been almost indescribable. I have success beyond my wildest dreams. I have new skills, and my level of love for myself and the world is on a level of understanding words often fail to describe. I live in a near constant state of awe.
So I live in a near constant state of awe. So I'm always awed. I'm always looking at wonderment. And believe me, when you start opening your eyes and you look at nature, you look at things around you, right? How things have manifested. How is a table made? How is a spoon made? How is a vase made? How is any of these electronic gadgets that we are using made? These are all wonder. So you can actually live in wonder all the time. You see an ant walking, the way the six legs move, there is wonder in that. How many times do we actually focus on appreciating the beauty, appreciating the process of how anything has come into existence? And that awe is something we need to really pull into our lives again.
Let me put it this way: everyone has a lens through which they view the world. Religions, philosophies, therapies, authors, speakers, gurus, and candlestick makers all perceive the world through a particular mindset. What you learn in this book is how to use a new lens to dissolve all other lenses. And once you succeed, you'll be at the place I call zero limits.
So, so it's a state of no preconceived notion. You're not operating out of any kind of a belief system. You are operating from a new paradigm, which is devoid of any baggage, of any kind of dogma that you're carrying with you. And that's what's called the zero state of consciousness or zero limits.
Please understand that this is the first book in history to reveal this updated Hawaiian method for healing called self identity, Ho'oponopono. But also, please understand that this is just one man's experience with the method, mine. While this book is written with the blessings of the therapist who taught me the amazing method, everything to follow is written through my own lens of the world. To fully understand self identity, Ho'oponopono, you need to attend a weekend training and experience it for yourself. Finally, the entire essence of this book can be summed up in one phrase, a phrase you will learn to use, a phrase that reveals the ultimate secret of the universe. a phrase that I want to say to you and the divine right now. I love you. Take a ticket and have a seat. The train into your soul is about to take off. Hold on to your hat. I love you. Aloha Noa, Dr. Joe Vitale.
So I love you, right? And everything is interconnected. Everything is interrelated. So when I say I love you, I mean I love myself and I love everything around me. Once we get into that state of consciousness, then we are automatically riding on the right side of the grid. Very clear and very simple.
The universe began when nothing saw itself in the mirror. Tor Noritanders, The User Illusion.
Wonderful.
The adventure begins. Peace be with you, all my peace. In August 2004, I was speaking and working a booth at the National Guild of Hypnotists annual convention. I enjoyed the people, the event, the energy, and the networking. But I wasn't prepared for the life-changing event that would begin that day. My friend Mark Ryan was working the booth with me. Mark is a hypnotherapist as well. He's very open-minded, curious, articulate, and penetrating when it comes to exploring life and all its mysteries. We often had conversations that lasted for hours. We talked about our heroes in therapy, from Milton Erickson to lesser known shamans. It was during one of these conversations that Mark surprised me by asking, have you ever heard of the therapist who healed people without ever seeing them? The question stopped me. I had heard of psychic healers and remote or distant healers, but Mark seemed to be suggesting something different. He's a psychologist who healed an entire mental hospital full of the criminally insane, but he never saw a single patient. What did he do? He used a Hawaiian healing system called Ho'oponopono. Ho'o what? I asked. I asked Mark to repeat the term about a dozen times. I had never heard it before. Mark didn't know the story or the process well enough to tell me much more. I admit I was curious, but I also confessed that I was skeptical as well. I figured this had to be an urban legend. Heal people without seeing them. Yeah, right. Mark went on to tell me the following story. I had been traveling to Mount Shasta in California for about 16 years in search of myself, Mark explained. One friend there gave me a little booklet that I never forgot. It was white paper with blue ink. It was an article about this Hawaiian therapist and his method. I read that article over and over again for years. It didn't describe what the therapist actually did, but it said he healed people with his method.
Okay. So Mount Shasta is a highly spiritual place. It was revered by the Indians, the Red Indians in America. And when Dr. Brian Daly and Alan Evans, they were giving us a talk and they were showing us the chakras of the earth. So Mount Shasta is where one of the chakras of the earth was located.
Where's that article now? I asked. I wanted to read it. I can't find it, Mark said, but something told me to tell you about it. I know you don't believe me, but I'm as fascinated as you are. I want to know more too. A year passed before the next convention. During the intervening months, I poked around online but couldn't find anything about any therapist who cured people without seeing them. Sure, there's information on distant healing, where someone heals another without the other person being present. But I understood that the Hawaiian therapist didn't do that. As I would come to learn, there's no distance at all in the type of healing he did. On top of all that, I didn't know how to spell Ho'oponopono to look it up online, so I let it go.
So, so when we look at distance healing, one person is in point A and another person is in point B. But Ho'oponopono works on a different system at all. There is no distance. And I think it will open up a little later as to why is there no distance.
Then, in 2005, at the next annual hypnosis convention, Mark again mentioned the therapist. Did you ever find anything about him? He asked. I don't know his name and I don't know how to spell ho, whatever the term is, I explained. So I couldn't find a thing. Mark's a go getter. We took a break, pulled out my laptop, found a wireless internet connection, and went searching. It didn't take long to find the main and only official site for Ho'oponopono at www.ho'oponopono.org. I looked around and saw a few articles. They gave me a quick overview of what I was about to get into. I found a definition of Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono is a process of letting go of toxic energies within you to allow the impact of divine thoughts, words, deeds, and actions.
So very clearly, getting rid of all the clutter so that the divine can come through. So the inspiration can come through.
I had no idea what that meant, so I looked around some more. I found this. Simply put, Ho'oponopono means to make right or to rectify an error. According to the ancient Hawaiians, error arises from thoughts that are tainted by painful memories from the past. Ho'oponopono offers a way to release the energy of these painful thoughts or errors which cause imbalance and disease.
So what is it doing over here? Very clearly, he says very clear, thoughts that are tainted by painful memories from the past. So what are we constantly working with? Where are our thoughts coming from? What are they influenced by? It is from our past experiences, which is the conscious mind which is working now. And this is also stored in the subconscious mind, which makes us go into patterns, into belief systems, etc. The moment we want to clear that, that is when we can transcend the past and look at new divine inspiration coming into our life without clearing the baggage that we are totally intruded in all the time, or we are constantly focused on all the time. What is being actually said by the divine cannot come through. So that's where the stilling of the mind becomes very, very important.
Interesting, yes, but what did it mean? As I explored the site, looking for information on the mysterious psychologist who healed people without seeing them, I learned that there is an updated form of Ho'oponopono called self-identity through Ho'oponopono, SITH. I didn't pretend to know what all of this meant. Mark didn't pretend either. We were fellow explorers. Our laptop was the horse. We rode into the wilderness of this new land. We were in search of answers. We eagerly typed forward. We found an article that helped explain a few things.
Okay, so I guess we'll have to stop here today. We'll continue on Thursday. Anyone, anything to say?